Is your phone on silence? Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to NFC Now number 8. I'm Julian Virgin. That's David Oblas.
Hello.
Hey, we're here having a good time, man. I'm super excited about today's show because we are recapping Jesse Wable's Amateur Series 4 NFC Fight Night 151 this past Friday, November 4th at Tannery Row Ale House in Beaufort, Georgia. We have a couple of fighters who fought on that card. Anthony King. We got, how am I forgetting already? We got Jesse Wable to come.
Nathan Rivera, Anthony King, and Walter Flores.
Voila, that's who we got coming on our show today, man. To recap, just the greatness, not the madness, the greatness in which we saw this past Friday. I had a lot of highlights written down, things that jumped off the pad to me. But I think it's only right that we get the State of the Union from NFC's CEO, Chief Executive Officer, the man in charge, David Oblas. David, how would you overview NFC 151?
I was going to ask you what you thought of your announcing gig. We haven't talked at all since Friday, and for people that don't know, we really don't talk at all after the fight. That way we have fresh stuff in the podcast to talk about. But what did you think you were announcing?
Man, that's a good question. I appreciate you asking that. So, first of all, I love doing it. And I think that people have to understand that it takes a lot of work. It's not just like, hey, you show up, you just start saying names. There's a lot of prep work that goes into this whole ordeal. And you're a big part of that prep work, just making sure that I'm taken care of and I have everybody's names and everything. So it was a lot of preparation throughout the entire day, writing down names, just getting inspiration and everything. When I first get there, it takes me about 3-4 fights to actually get warm and get comfortable and start feeling the crowd. Look, I deal with nervous anxiety just like anybody else does. And, you get in front of everybody. The crowd was pretty much packed out by the time we started the show, but people are still getting there to try to figure out what's going on. I step out there, the first couple times, I'm a little timid. My voice isn't all the way warmed up. I'm not all the way there. But by the end of the night, man, I was feeling it. I had a good time, and I'm feeding off the energy, not only of the crowd, but the fighters too. And I'm giving them energy and they're kind of giving it back. And I feel like one of my favorite times announcing somebody's name was when I announced my man, Anthony King. And cause he was face to face with me. Him and I were I was reading his card and he was looking me dead in the face. And we were looking back at each other and it was dope. Now, when it comes to my main event intro, right? I was really working on that I was working on that a lot, David. I ain't gonna hold you. I was in the house, I was practicing. I'm sure my neighbor was probably like, yo, what's going on? Because I was really projecting. And I think that I may have blown my voice out before I got there. You gotta pace yourself. There's 14 fights. That's 14 times 2 was 30. 28, my bad. I haven't been in math class in a minute. 28 people that you have to call out, and then you're making announcements, and you got to hold on to that. So the whole morning I was writing it out. I was testing it. Okay, this is what I'm going to say. The wait is over. The time is now. The fighters have arrived at Tannery Row. But when I hit my patented spin move, I don't know if you noticed that, I'm starting to patent this spin move, right? To do the let's get it. By the time I got turned around, after all the hype, the pageantry, the let's get it, I was out of breath. And so,
and I'm surprised you're not dizzy.
Yeah, it's all of that. It's I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I'm turning, I'm reading, the energy of the crowd.
It's going to end up being like Tony Hawk skateboarding. Right now it's a 180. Soon you're going to try to do a 360 and then a 540. Yeah.
Hey, if you do the fight of the next decade, you don't never know. I might go for the gusto for the Olympic record, but I feel
I'm 46. This decade's the last decade. I don't see it when I'm 56.
Man, ultimately, I feel like I'm getting more comfortable in this role. Shout out to Jose, man, for just showing me the ropes on how he does it. However, it's important for me to like establish my own method of doing it, man. What were your thoughts?
So I you're not going to get paid more, so this is not a raise. But I will say this was kind of, I felt this was kind of your coming out party. Like, I think there's always coming out parties for fighters, and I think this was kind of your coming out party as an announcer. You had more energy, you had more pizzazz, you looked more comfortable and in your zone. You were having fun not only inside the cage, but outside of the cage. And I don't even think you noticed this video. So Jesse's on in a minute here. I see him in the queue, but I don't think you've seen this video yet. Have you? Have you put it on the T-shirt after the fight with So Jesse sent this to me. Hold on, I'm going to play this real quick. This is actually pretty good.
Hey, that's dope.
Had you seen that yet?
Yeah, so my dad was standing next to me recording it, and he showed it to me. And honestly, that was one of my favorite parts of the entire night. You know, Abraham Perez brought a hell of a crowd out there. I'm sure you could speak on that a little bit more. He had Little Mexico in the corner, man, and they were well represented. They were making a lot of noise, and I loved it. And I just appreciated the spirit behind, like, the support. You know, I always say support a hustler. Like, they was really supporting Abraham's hustle. And so after the fight, I was like, I want a shirt. The dude literally took the shirt off his back and then gave it to me. He was like, I want you to have this, my friend. And then I was like, I got to wear it on the pod. So, yeah, that was a moment.
And I see Jesse in there, so let's not take too long because I think he's got wrestling practice. So let me add him in. You're doing the Doug Usher in the car.
Yeah, I had to come outside tonight.
That seems to be a cool hip thing everyone's doing. It makes you look busy when you're in the car on the podcast. You got places to go. You are doing what, Cason's wrestling practice tonight?
Yeah, little man's first night of wrestling practice at Flowery Branch High School, the same high school I went to. Pretty cool, the same high school I met Tiffany at. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Excited to be up here.
What time do you have to get in with him so we know your deadline here?
He started at 6:30. I was in there for the first 30 minutes, so I'm just out here, you know, in between.
Indeed. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jesse Wable, NFC's lead matchmaker, and the person whose name is on Jesse Wable's Amateur Series 4. It was an amazing evening, but before we get to that evening, I just got to ask you, man, just on a personal level, how does that feel as Cason's dad to be at his first ever wrestling practice?
Yeah, so it's actually his third year wrestling. I've had him in jiu-jitsu since a little before he was 4 years old. He's been at it a while. But yeah, it's his third year wrestling. It's just the first practice of the season tonight.
Still, I'm sure you feel the type of way about as a father. You know, just watching him go out there and compete.
I love watching him, man. Every year going out, picking out wrestling shoes, just doing the whole thing with him. It's fun, man.
That's dope, man. That's dope. I know Kason was at the show on Friday, man. Jesse Wable's Amateur Series number 4 at Tannery Row. Your overall thoughts of the evening?
Man, what a card! It turned. I knew there were gonna be obviously some good fights on the card, but it turned out pretty much perfect, man. All the fights were, you know, action packed. We saw some really crazy knockouts, some good submissions, some good 3-round back and forth fights. Overall, it went really good. Like I said, damn near sold out event. I was packed out in there. The energy in that building, you know, was crazy as always. And definitely for you, a 10 for 10 on the ring announcing, man. I've gone back and watched that main event intro probably 150 times. Dude, I was showing everybody at work, like, check this out. Watch Abraham's entrance when he walks out, and I pan up to his fan base with all their noisemakers going on. It was so cool, man.
It was an amazing experience, and I think that it was a hell of a show. You said it was damn near sold out. Now, I need both y'all to chime in on this. Like, what is a sellout crowd at Tannery Row? Because from my perspective, it was sold out.
We've put in there in the past 750 before they made the changes to the venue. So now that they made the change, we don't know the true capacity of it because it's interesting with a lot of venues that are general admission that aren't complete seats, how many you can put in. So we kind of figured 750 would be the most that we could put in. I think we sold 674 tickets that were out, and through the door, the number of people that came in was 624. So it's always interesting that about I think I told Jesse and Charlene beforehand about 10 to 15% of the people buy tickets and don't show. So we had 674 out and 624 in the building compared to where we were at 750 in the past. So it was right there.
Yeah, and then we also found out the day before there was a smaller little room that we could open up as well, which held about 50 more people or so. So that was good. We got to sell a few more general admission tickets than normal.
Perfect. Again, it was a electric energy in the building the entire evening. I think Tannery Row really brings that out of the NFC crowd. I know our home base has been District Atlanta, but Tannery Row is just kind of like, it's like a football team throwing on their alternate jerseys. It's just kind of like it's a different vibe. Now, I think it's important for us. We're talking about Jesse Wable's Amateur Series 4. We do have a recap video. I feel like it's time for us to debut the official recap video done by the one, the only NFC's lead videographer, founder, CEO of Flatline Cinema, Jenny Childress. Y'all go ahead and check it out right now.
Let's go.
Give me 1 second before we let's go to make sure it's here. No, we're not playing that one.
Yeah, okay. It's all good. Again, this video is by Jenny Childress, founder and CEO of Flatline Cinema. Our second shooter for this video was NFC middleweight Ryan Kimbrough. So shout out to him just being all-purpose and just coming on helping the team.
You guys ask him another question while I load up the video.
While you do that, fight of the night, performance of the night, submission of the night, KO of the night.
KO of the night, without a doubt, goes to Nathan Rivera. I mean, that was a scary knockout, man. I was telling you guys last week, Nathan cracks. And every time I see him fight, man, some people have power, but he's got that certain type of power. Like, you don't want to get hit by him. When my buddy Josh was fighting him, obviously, I said, buddy, man, you can't stand with that guy. He's going to knock you out. He's now that he's at a new gym. I think before he was with Byron Bloodworth at X3 Sports. He's since moved to ATT. I think he's starting to really come into his own groove. He's looked real great lately. I know he's been doing a lot of private work with Brantley Furr and just everybody at the gym that he trains at. He's training with world-class fighters every day. And, man, he looked fantastic. That was a hell of a right hand. Literally the only punch he threw knocked him out. So shout out to Nathan Rivera. The submission of the night, and that's a toss-up. It's got to be between Chad Risley or Abraham Perez. Chad Risley, the technique was really good. Abraham Perez, technique was also really good. So that's a toss-up, man. It's hard to say either way. And the fight of the night, I definitely have to give to Josh Kozer and Walter Flores. They put on a 3-round war. They were both going back and forth. It ended up being a split decision. And definitely shout out to Walter Flores and Josh Kozer. That was a hell of a fight.
We'll have Walter Flores on a little bit later, man. I want to know your opinion about the fight. I'm assuming that you have gone back and looked at it, man. How did you score it at the show? And then after you watched it, what did you think about the fight?
I mean, it was close at the show. Going back and watching it, I definitely would have to say that Walter won. 2 rounds to 1. I think the first round was pretty close. I'd have to give it to Josh. It was close, though. I could definitely understand it going to Walter. But that second and third round, Walter showed his, his pro experience, and he did a good job against Josh.
Absolutely. I saw you had the Josh the Dozier Kozier on there, man. You were definitely showing your allegiance, but I still think that.
Yeah, nothing but respect to Walter, though. You know what I mean? I love everybody from American Top Team. I just had to support my boy. That was
absolutely, and that's completely understandable. We'll have Walter on a little bit later, and maybe he can just explain some of the things that were said a little before the fight about, him against the world, that energy. Now, talking about Nathan Rivera, I know he was coming off of 2 losses. I wanted to know what you thought of his. Obviously, he had the KO of the night. It was electric. Now, just, with him coming off of those 2 losses, how important do you think that was for him?
Super important, man. And I'm sure he's really happy. And I'm sure he's happy to get, I was going to say happy to get out of there quick, but he did suffer an injury. The referee, when he was pulling him off, which I'm sure he'll talk a little bit about it later, but it looks like he might have bruised, possibly broken his foot when the referee was pulling him off of him. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But, super important for him to, get back in the win column. I hope that he stays busy. I know he usually likes to stay busy. Anytime Nathan Rivera wants on a card, he knows, just hit me up and we're going to make it happen.
Yeah, I wanted to get into like future matchups, but before we talk about how you're going to match these fighters up, just next, you mentioned Abraham Perez and his submission of the night. What did you think about his performance? He's now undefeated and the flyweight champion, man. Like, and that submission, he put Chris to sleep. What did you think about him?
Yeah, his first 3 fights were good. His first fight he got by armbar. The second 2 fights went 3 rounds. Were a little bit, I don't want to say lackluster, but just slower pace. But he really came out, in a good stance this fight. Was ready to go. Chris Nguyen was threatening a guillotine on him. He took him down and then got him in a guillotine of his own. And like I said, choked him out in just a little over a minute in the first round. It was shocking, to be honest with you. When you saw Chris Nguyen's last fight, the 5-round war he had with Justin Lopez and just how tough he is and the gym he's coming out of. And Abraham Perez, a little unknown, not on social media a whole lot. He doesn't like to talk a lot of trash. Doesn't really like to talk a lot. He didn't even watch the video you guys made for his fight. It was kind of weird. But man, that kid, for not being on social media or people not really knowing him, brought out so many people. And like I said, I say this all the time, but I'm a big entrance guy. And that was one of the coolest entrances I've ever seen, like in person in my life. So yeah, that's definitely a video I'm going to hold on to.
Let's take a look and see if we've got this, the recap video loaded up here.
Warriors have arrived to Tannery Row Ale House in Buford, Georgia.
Wow, what an incredible finish.
Heck yeah, that was good. Good job, Jenna Lee. That was a good video. 10 for 10 every time.
Hey. Again, that was done by Jenna Lee Childress of Flatline Cinema with the second shooter, my boy Ryan Kimbrough. That was an exclusive premiere here on NFC Now. Awesome. That's Jesse Wable and David Oblas smiling like they just got something they opened to gift at Christmas.
Giggling at the exclusive premiere.
What did y'all think?
What was I was loading up the video for a second. Performance of the night, fight of the night, and knockout of the night.
So performance of the night, like I was saying, has to go to Nathan Rivera, that knockout. Submission of the night. It's close. Like I said, that Chad Risley armbar and that Abraham Perez, they were both quick in the first round. What would you guys pick for submission of the night? Was it Chad's or was it Abraham's?
It had to be Abraham's for me.
Abraham,
it was a title fight. It was the main event.
The stakes.
And he slept him. Like,
I'm just asking because, Chad Risley actually reached out to me saying, hey, man, does that armbar put me in contender for submission of the year? We have our awards banquet coming up in a couple months, so I got to start going back and tallying all the submissions, all the knockouts, all the decision wins, and kind of see which ones were the best. And, so we're going to start doing that soon.
As we're talking about, I see Chad Risley on deck right now in our little webcam there, and he was shaking his head when we said Abraham Perez a second ago. So
I mean, Chad was slick. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, that armbar, he got swung around, held onto it, and he didn't have to tap necessarily. I don't even think the ref saw the tap, but he felt it and was respectful and let go. But yeah, that was a super good submission by Chad Risley.
It was a wonderful submission. Shout out to Chad. I can't wait to talk to him. However, I'm just talking about the moment itself, the energy of the main event, the crowds, and just that he like literally was like, I guess I was right there and I saw it. Chad's was across the cage from me, but like being right there and seeing it, it was just like, whoa, like that just happened. The crowd going crazy. And my favorite night of the whole evening is after Abraham Perez got up, he was like, he did the discount double check, like belt me. And then he was like, and then he quieted Chris Wynn's crowd because he was in like the way his corner was.
Yeah.
He was in like, I remember when I called his name, everybody behind him was booing.
I was watching the video. People were outside the cage giving him the finger, saying
the whole nine. And he was so stoic.
Yeah.
And then when he got up from the sub and he was like, yeah, quiet, like, yeah, say something now. Give me my belt. And it was just like that moment.
Well, hey, you know what? If Chad and Abraham want to argue about the submission of the night, they are both at 125 pounds. Chad is advanced amateur now, 2-1. Maybe we can set that fight up and we can see who can submit who.
Voila. That was going to be my follow-up. And, man, what a hell of a segue, my man, Jesse Wable. I wanted to know what other matchups could you see coming from this card? Like, how are you going to match up at Idell Gladney, who just defeated Travell Miller? How are you going to match up in Xavier Horton? How are you going to match the champion?
I can go ahead and answer your Xavier Horton one right now. He will be fighting January 20th for the vacant NFC welterweight championship against Ronald Humphreys out of American Top Team Atlanta. Ronald Humphreys, the son of the late great Abongo Humphreys, former Strike Force fighter, was in the Black Panther movie. 3-0, undefeated. Just fought up in Chattanooga the other day and impressed the hell out of me, Tim, Loy, Charlene, Dave. Like I said, he's an undefeated prospect out of ATT Atlanta. Can't wait for that one. Idell Gladney. I like Idell Gladney, man. He's 3-1 as an amateur. You could argue that he's even 4-0. His second fight against Austin, I can't remember his last name, but it was a close fight. I did kind of think he won that fight. Unfortunately for him, his teammate Nima Changizi is the champion right now, but he is 5-0, so maybe turning pro next. But if Nima does turn pro, then I can definitely see Idell getting a title shot next. He looks super impressive against a tough, scary fighter in Travell Miller. He dominated him for 3 rounds, out-grappled him, got below and got the takedowns, and he looked great. I like Idell a lot. He's a good fighter, and I expect good things for him in the future.
I definitely like Idell. I appreciate you breaking some news here on NFC Now. That's what the heck we do here. We got some big fight. You said Xavier Horton against Ronald Humphreys for the vacant NFC middleweight title?
Welterweight, 170
Welterweight.
pounds.
Okay, at 170. Xavier Horton did look nice and slim. He seemed a little slimmer than what he normally is. That gas tank is still maybe a little comparable. How did you score that fight? I heard there was there's some chit-chat going back and forth about who won that one.
I mean, I think it's a pretty easy fight to score, to be honest with you. Xavier won the first 2, and he gassed out bad, and Elijah won the third. Unfortunately for Elijah, he didn't really turn it up too much in the third. He could have maybe turned it up a lot more and got a 10-8 round and got a draw out of the fight, but he was a little hesitant. But, yeah, definitely scored it for Xavier Horton.
David?
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a pretty easy fight. I think Xavier won the first 2 rounds pretty easily, and just like Jesse said, he was gassed in round 3, and I think more than exhausted after the end of the fight. Yeah.
I think I agree with you too, Jesse, on that. I feel like Elijah could have got him up out of there if he would have really stepped on the gas in that 3rd round. So,
Agreed. But just an amateur fight going back. He'll learn from the fight. They both will learn, and they'll both be back stronger from it.
Another person that stood out to me was Nico Brown. I saw this was his first kickboxing match in the NFC, man. Nicholas Brown. They was calling him Nico in the back. What'd you think about Nico?
Dominant performance, in my opinion. I was surprised a couple of judges had it 29-28, but a really nice guy. They call him, his name is Nico Price, but they say he goes by Nico Peace. He's a super respectful guy. I had a kick watching Miles Neal entrance when he walked out behind him and was dancing. Super nice guy, good energy. I like those guys from Gwinnett Training Academy a lot.
Absolutely.
He was good. He was just – I predicted 4 guys overweight, and I think we ended up with 3, and he was one of the 3. 172 weight, he ended up 175.8. So he missed weight by nearly 4 pounds.
Just as I talk about liking the Gwinnett Training Academy guys, 2 of them missed weight. You guys got to get it together.
I mean, I've said before, I don't think that makes a difference in the fight when you're 3 or 4 pounds heavy. 36 hours before, I think it makes absolutely no difference. But it is part of that, if you agree to a weight, you have to make the weight. So, I think they need to work on that a little bit or go up a weight class, because missing by 4 pounds is unfortunately quite a bit.
When can we expect Jesse Wable's Amateur Series number 5?
Hopefully sometime early next year, March, April-ish. Sounds good. We'll have to talk with Charlene and David about it, of course, but shooting for that time frame.
Jesse Wable, before we get you up out of here, back to Carson's wrestling practice, what is your final thoughts of Jesse Wable's Amateur Series number 4?
Yeah, man, just excited about it. It was a really fun event. Like I said, there was a ton of people out there. Really good fights, really good finishes. A lot to talk about. Excited to hear, the interviews with Chad Risley and Nathan Rivera coming up, and Anthony King and Walter. Curious to see what they all have to say about the event, what they thought of the venue, the whole experience themselves. I know I had a great time. It looks like you guys did too, and I can't wait to be back at Tannerio. Like I said, that's my favorite venue. Of course, I'm biased because it's 7 minutes from my house. But I really just love that venue. I love the energy, and I can't wait to come back.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, that is NFC's lead matchmaker, only matchmaker. I think I'm the secondary matchmaker, but hey, that is our lead matchmaker, Jesse Wable. Jesse, we appreciate you joining us here on NFC Now. David, before we get up out of here, can we play that promo one more time, please?
Yeah.
Can we play the recap, rather? Can we play the recap one more time?
I can't hear you. Give me a second. I tried to download the video and I blocked my headphones out.
I said, can we rerun the Jesse Wable Amateur Series recap one last time as we send Jesse Wable off?
He'll hear us in a second.
Oh, he's still figuring it out. That might be my cue to tap in.
So, Julian, when are you making your debut?
Hey, you see, I just need an opponent. You gotta get me in here, man. And my SBG guys got to get me right too. I need some more time. I need a little bit more time. But my 1-2 is coming along. My jab cross. I'm talking about. I'm getting my hands up too. So if somebody want to throw it back at me, I got my defense right.
Saw that video you hit in the bag the other week. That lead elbow was nice.
Did you?
I saw that.
My man, I'm telling you, that lead elbow is really going to hurt somebody. It's going to really hurt somebody. David, can you hear us? Ah, man, David is
Looks like your mic is off, David.
We're going to figure it out, man. What I'm going to do is we're going to get right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFC Now. That's Jesse Wable. We are trying to get his
there we go.
Here we go.
You should be able to hear me now, but I got to
voila. There we go.
For a second or two.
I was saying, can we play Jesse Wable's Amateur Series number 4 recap as we send Jesse Wable off?
Can you hear me?
I got you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Jesse, it was a pleasure talking with you, man. You have a good one, all right?
Yes, sir. Y'all too.
Peace out.
What's up? Can you hear me?
I got you clear, man.
Hey, are you the one playing that?
Warriors have arrived to Tannery.
Are you the one hitting the videos, Julian? Because I'm not.
I did. That was me, man. We gonna get it together again, y'all. Welcome to NFC Now podcast number 8. We just gonna reset. Take a deep breath. It's all good. I was trying to play the Jesse Wable's Amateur Series 4 recap as we sent Jesse Wable off. I think you had a technical difficulty. It's all good. We're live. This is NFC Now. This is what we do. That's David Oblas. I'm Julian Virgin. Stepping up next. Go ahead. What's up?
I was going to say, let's bring Chad in.
But before we bring him in, don't we have a video for Chad?
I was just looking for it. I cannot find it. I think we're going to have to work on getting me videos a little bit ahead of time because some of them just aren't in here. But if you want to talk to him and give me a minute, I might be able to grab it in here.
We'll make it work. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined here by NFC Flyweight following his submission victory this week over Brian Armstrong at Jesse Wable's Amateur Series for a submission in which he calls a possible submission of the year candidate, Chad Risley. Chad, what's up, my brother?
Not much, bro. How are y'all?
Maintaining, man. Am I saying your last name correctly?
Risley?
Risley. That's what it is?
Yes, sir.
Man, so it seems like the whole time, man, even when I met you back at ATT Lima a couple weeks ago, man, you've been very cool, calm, collected, man. But after you got that arm bar off, you were on top of the world. Now seems like you've gone back into the I'm cool Chad mode, man. Give me your emotions.
Always. I mean, I've been competing, been on the mat since I was probably 12, 13 years old. And that by far was, I've armbarred and triangled a lot of people in my 10 years doing this. But that was by far like way crazier environment, just crazier.
Explain. What made it so crazy? Was it just the environment? Was it your friends, your family?
It's everything. From the walkout to you introducing me to jumping up on the cage. Like the whole thing was just kind of surreal, honestly. When
you take a walk out, like, when I initially called your name as you walked up the tunnel, what were your emotions, man? I could only imagine what a fighter is feeling at that time.
Man, it's honestly so crazy. It's not even really like anything you can describe. It's like everybody's just going nuts. Like nerves are going crazy, wondering what's about to happen. Like it's just nuts.
I out to Racks to Skinny by the Migos, man. Was that just in honor of Takeoff, or is that your typical walkout song?
Nah, it's not my typical walkout song. I did do it in honor of Takeoff. I've grown up in Gwinnett, so I've been listening to them since I was probably in 6th, 7th grade. So that was just had to do it for my guy.
You did it for your guy. You did it for your fam. You did it for the team. Now, it seems like ATT Lima was all the way behind you as you went out there, man, started the fight. What did you see versus what was the game plan, and how did that finish come about?
That honestly that game plan went to a T. I watched his last fight. He actually fought right before me at District on August 20th. So I went back, watched his fight. I could just tell he's itching to shoot. So I knew I was good off my back. I've been good off my back since I started doing jiu-jitsu. So I knew if he was going to take me down, then I was either going to take his arm home or take his neck home.
And the arm was of choosing.
Absolutely. As you may have seen, I was going for the neck, but plans change.
Have you trained that particular submission frequently? And I mean, were you surprised when you got it in there?
Yeah, no, I don't really do too much jiu-jitsu, honestly, at the gym, my last couple camps, but I could probably pull up 100 videos of me triangling people and armbarring people when I was younger. So it's always been a move I've been really good at. It's just always really stuck with me.
Submission goes in, referee pulls you off of him, man. You get up on the cage, you feel that energy, man. Like that ATT crowd was really, y'all were prevalent, y'all were deep that night, man.
Oh yeah. Always
when you're
deep. On
that cage, man, like, ooh, a non-fighter like me, I love to feel that, bro. You tell me how that felt.
Man, I've been waiting to do that ever since I started fighting, honestly. That was really one of the craziest moments of my life, to be completely honest with you. Definitely the craziest moment of my life on the mat.
Indeed, man. Indeed. Now, I think my biggest question to you, man, is like, what are you fighting for? When you go out there and you put it all on the line in front of your fans and family, like, why? What's your why behind this whole thing?
My family. Just gotta put on.
What they was out there, my
family always comes deep whenever I fight. compete of any kind. So it's always crazy having them there, and I wouldn't ask nothing more.
So that's why you started, right? It says you started training when you were 12. Is that what you started?
Right.
You started because of that?
No, I actually started when American Top Team was at Gwinnett Training Academy about 2012. And I really started because my mom was doing CrossFit there. And she brought me to a class. Me and one of my best friends, who doesn't train anymore, but we started training and we started wrestling together. So I really credit my mom for getting me in.
So who are your main trainers up there? I'm sorry, David. I saw you.
I was just going to shout out to Charlene. She said, David reminds me of my dad right now. Hey, I was set up for defeat. I got these videos from Jenna Lee 15 minutes before we were going live. I think she set me up for a loss here, just like Charlene probably sets her dad up for a loss on these IT videos and Zoom. But before we go, I finally got the video loaded. Let's show it of him and show him off for a second here.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1 minute, 3 seconds into round number 1. Your winner via armbar, Chad Risley.
Chad, I'll say I'm 5'3.5". I've spent a lot of time with you. I tower over you. That cage wall is 6 feet tall, and you jumped up there without a problem at all. I might be taller, but you are more athletic than I am.
I've always been told I act like a little spider monkey.
Have you ever practiced jumping on the cage at ATT Lima?
Nah.
So that was your first time
I feel
ever
like that would
jumping
be a
on the
little
cage?
corny. Yeah, no, that was my first time ever jumping up on the cage. Went about exactly how I planned it to. Right up, right down. Drop was a little bit higher than I expected it to be. But
Well, your legs aren't that long. That's why it was high.
Nah. They're not long at all.
I was more impressed with that than I was the armbar. Have you watched the video? Or is this the first time you've watched it?
I'm gonna definitely need that angle, but I have watched the video probably 100 times over. Played that shit on my TV a bunch of times. If I ever find myself bored last couple of days, just watch that shit a couple of times.
As hyped as you were, did you even sleep after the fight Friday, or did it go straight through?
Yeah. No, I went. Watched the rest of my teammates fight. Had a couple beverages. Went out to the club. A bunch of my friends and family celebrated the win. We're back here at ATT today.
I noticed you made an Instagram post yesterday or today with like 10 photos from the fight. You and I took a photo afterwards, and that didn't make the cut.
I thought I looked a little intoxicated, a little goofy.
So it wasn't me, it was you.
Nah, it was me for sure.
Makes me feel a little bit better. So why was that fight more hype for you? I was hearing a little bit as I was fooling around the microphone. Why was that fight different for you and the atmosphere different than the other times you fought for us?
I mean, I wouldn't say the atmosphere was really different. It was just kind of probably the venue, more like wide open. And the walkout, I like the walkout a lot better at Tannery than District. I fought at District twice, and obviously Tannery once. And I think the way y'all like have us coming up the little alley there, or the little walkway, I think that's just pretty dope. And everybody we always bring a deep crowd to the fights, so we always have a lot of guys fighting on any given card. So we just roll deep, and shit's hype.
And when Jesse was on a minute ago, he talked about potentially now that Abraham's the title and your teammate Chris Wynn is not the champion anymore. What do you think about that fight? You are 2-1 now.
Let's go.
Well, that made that easy for 50% of the fighters. So we'll talk to Abraham next. January 20th, maybe?
Yes, sir. Whenever he's available. January, February, March, whenever.
Now, with that said, I mean, you've seen Abraham fight. He fought on this card. I mean, he obviously fought your teammate, man. How do you think that you're gonna attack him?
I mean, we'll sit down with my coaches, game plan, and go in there and see who the better man is.
Indeed. You said sit down with your coaches, man. It seemed like I heard Brantley Furr in the back when we played that video. He was yelling like, you know, grab the arm. Now, and then as soon as you grab the arm, take it. What does Brantley Furr mean to you?
I mean, that's like him and Diego. I consider to be both my head coaches. I always have Diego written on the tail of the tape, but I work with Brantley just about every day. He's always running our MMA practices, striking practices, sparring. So I really spend most of my time training under him. So he definitely means a lot to me. It's almost like a dad to all of us. But he's definitely and he's a smaller guy, so he's able to give me some real good work. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, former pro fighter. I really can't say much more better about the guy.
That's real talk. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that is Chad Risley joining us here on NFC Now. Now, I got to know, is fighting the everyday thing, or what is your everyday hustle?
I'm definitely in here in the gym every day, watching film every day, just doing some sort of something to do with fighting. But me and my dad run a fencing business. We actually just built Dave a fence. Actually started during fight week. So, yeah, I run a fencing business with my dad, and that's what I do when I'm not in the gym.
David, what'd you think about the fence, man?
I thought the fence looks great, but Chad's the worst employee ever. He didn't even show up to do the job. Maybe that's fight week. I don't know. He came over to give me the estimate. I was waiting to see him when I came home that day, greet him and wish him good luck on his fight. And I only saw his dad and the two guys outside working on it. So.
Yeah,
very good fighter. Yeah. And the funny thing is I would have never even known he does a fencing company if I didn't email him tickets before. And your email address, I think, was info at your company
Fence
name.
Pros of Georgia. Yes,
what's
sir.
that?
Info at Fence Pros of Georgia.
And that's when I hit him a few months ago, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a fence. Do you work for a fence company? He said, me and my dad own it, and kind of went from there. I always try to support fighters wherever I can and have them do work on anything else I can. Damn, I never knew fences were that expensive. So if you're looking for a fence, they're pricey. Yeah, but I guess that's the cost of wood these days, right?
Yeah, everything's all sort of building materials are through the roof.
And Chad got to eat. Chad and his dad got to eat.
Yes, sir.
Have you done fencing for other guys in the fight community?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I've had a good bit of people ask me, but nothing ever came to fruition.
I feel better now. I'm your only employer in the fight community.
Exactly. Much appreciated.
As they like to say, support a hustler. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Chad Risley. Chad, before we part ways, man, your final thoughts. What do you want to leave us with?
Hey, January 20th. Let's go. Bring that belt home where it belongs.
Ooh. I feel like we can use that for the
all the respect to Mr. Perez, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. You heard it here first. I feel like we have a fight brewing. Jesse Wable said it. Chad Risley said it. We will talk to Abraham Perez sooner than later so he can possibly make it make sense. Again, that's Chad Risley, NFC flyweight, following his possible submission of the year candidate versus Brian Armstrong at Jesse Wable's
I think so.
Hey, you got to be your biggest fan.
Bias, but
you got to be your biggest fan, brother. I'm not mad at you. It was a hell of a submission. Maybe we could play it one more time before he goes. David, can we play that one more time?
Yeah, and also, is Nathan Rivera at the gym with you?
He is. I think he just poked his head in here.
You might need to walk over and help him in the office because it looks like right now the camera's just set on his forehead and that's it. And help him pan it down. There we go. There's Studio B for ATT Team Neiman. We're gonna let you go and we're gonna show you a video on the way out and tell Nathan we're coming to him in 2 seconds.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1 minute, 3 seconds into round number one. Your winner via armbar, Chad Risley.
I was hoping we'd be able to see his jump down from the cage, which he said was
How to do a little double take when I landed.
I meant to remove you, so I'm going to remove you right now. Later. Like the way I just cut him out right there.
Yeah, you just like, yo, you just next. That's crazy. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is NFC Now, podcast number 8 that we were doing here with David Oblas. I'm Julian Virgin. Good conversation with Chad. Before we get over to our guy Nathan, man, I just want to recap what we discussed with Chad, man. I gotta say, it seemed like Chad, this was his first podcast. He was a little tight with the answers. He was a little close guarded.
He was slow at first and he was shy at first, but he loosened up a little bit.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man. We just needed you to get back on the pod, man. Is everything cool?
It is now. You guys set me up for a loss at the beginning, sending me all the videos. I just texted Jenna Lee, sending me all the videos 10 minutes before. Hey.
She, to her defense, she was like, I'm going to send them all the videos at one time.
I think I'm going to have to look through my email, but I'm not accusing her or anything, but I think in the email she listed like 3 videos in the email, so I didn't click on the folder at first, so I only downloaded the videos that I saw right there because I was in a rush without clicking on the folder. So we got Chad's video, and if you're ready to bring on Nathan, I'll show his video right before we bring him on. You ready?
Absolutely. Let's go. Nathan Rivera, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, 16 seconds into round number 1. Your winner by knockout, Nathan the Rivera.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we would like to say Magandang Gabi to the one, the pride of the Philippines, the Reaper, Nathan Rivera. What's up, my guy?
Hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me good on there?
Clear. Audio is actually great, brother.
Is the light straight?
Everything's cool, man. You
All
looking
right, cool.
good. Is this your podcast debut?
I think so.
Well,
I see something missing on your face right now, just looking at you. It looks like something's missing.
There's a fight. It's a fight week exclusive only.
It's like last week was your porn debut. This week is your podcast debut.
That's good. That's a couple of debuts in 1 week. I'm with that.
For sure, man. You, I don't know if you heard Jesse Wable a little earlier, man. He gave you the knockout of the night at Jesse Wable's Amateur Series 4. As we just showed that video, when you watch it, man, when you watch what you did on that stage, how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel really good. Hold on, let me turn my volume down a little. I'm echoing a bit. It makes me feel really good. Can y'all hear echo, or is that just me?
That's just you.
Okay, my bad. No, it felt good. This was the first fight where I felt like I was completely in control of my body and my mind. I was like really dialed in. So watching it back, I was really pleased with the performance.
Man,
How many times have you watched it back? I imagine this is not the first time you've watched it.
No, a few times, definitely.
Does this go down as your biggest win so far?
I think so. I mean, it's definitely up there. I've had some really good wins. I think this one was just pretty big for me because I felt the sharpest in there. I've had quick knockouts before, but this one didn't feel reckless. It didn't feel like I was just rolling the dice and just throwing what I want to throw. I was really reading him, and I was listening to my corner, and I felt like I could see everything pretty clearly in there. So it definitely goes up as one of the most important wins for me, for sure.
You showed a lot of emotions, man, following the knockout. Could you just express or explain to me, like, how does it feel to, really realize you got that Thanos power right here and just put somebody out in front of everybody and be able to get on the cage and, to have your moment?
It felt good. I told one of my my teammates that drove me to the fight, I was like, man, I just want to dance around for 3 rounds. I want to pop my jab in his face. I'll win the unanimous decision, bro. Like, I don't want to overextend myself. I don't want to put myself in compromised positions. Like, I don't want to hunt for the knockout. I just want to pop my jab. I've been working that. I've been working my grappling a lot. I've been working my wrestling. and I just want to do that for 3 rounds, and it didn't end up that way. So it felt pretty good, just because I lost 2 fights in a row, and not because I wasn't training hard, not because I wasn't doing the right work. Just I had a lot of obstacles to get over with the mental side of fighting, and I spent the last, I think I fought last in January, so I spent the last 10 months really working on that aspect of the game. So it definitely felt great.
So I was about to ask you about that. I see your last loss to Josh Kozer, but who did you fight after Kozer? Because it's not showing up on the database.
So to go back on that, like Josh Kozer. So during that camp, I had like a list of things that happened to me that kind of explains what happened with my last year of fighting. I tore my ACL in preparation for Josh a month before. I took the fight still, or at that time it was with a guy named Timothy Kiritan. Tore my ACL, and then Josh came in 2 days before that fight. And after that fight, I was like, you know what, I'm going to let my ACL heal, and I'm going to take a Thai fight. And it wasn't for the right reasons. It wasn't because I wanted to fight. I just wanted to get a win back. I didn't like the taste in my mouth. And I took a Thai fight, and I was really reckless. I didn't follow any game plan. I didn't listen to my coaches. And I just went up there, and I didn't win. I got TKO'd for the first time in 11 fights, and like including boxing in 11 fights. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and not necessarily. So I'm gonna turn you guys down again. Not necessarily the physical side, but the mental side. So that's what happened there.
Following up on that, man, like, you walked in here last time we saw you, you did take that TKO, man, in front of everybody. We haven't seen you. You said that you had a couple surgeries. When you walked into the cage on Friday, man, what was on the line for you?
It was a lot, it felt like a lot. You try to always tell yourself, like, this is just no pressure, no stress, but it's a lot, you sacrifice so much coming to the gym every day. I miss time with my family, with my girlfriend, with my friends. And in the back of your mind, you are thinking like, man, I really hope that I can pull this off because I'm investing so much, and especially coming off, I lost a title fight, which was so big for me. And, looking back, it wasn't that big of a deal. Of course you build it up in your head, but at the time it was the biggest thing, it was a title fight. But you look at it and you're like, okay, I was an amateur. I took a fight on 2 days' notice against a really tough son of a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Josh is a stud. So I was like, but you don't want to give yourself those excuses, And after that, that kickboxing fight that I had, that was the first time I ever getting a concussion. And I had a pretty gnarly concussion. I couldn't train for a couple of weeks. Every time my heart rate would get up, my head would start pounding. So I had to just do just strength conditioning. And then the first week I joined Team Lima, I tore my AC joint in my shoulder. So it was just like 3 things back to back. It was a torn ACL, it was a concussion, and then it was a torn AC joint in my shoulder. So I was out of the game for a long time, and I had a lot of time to think. So like it did feel like I had a lot on the line, because I'm like, my body is taking physical damage. I'm missing time with my family, and I'm just kind of chasing this dream. And the closest people around me, they do get it. They understand the dream and they believe in me. But you kind of have to you got to put your money where your mouth is. You know what I'm saying?
And Josh Kozer just commented online, Nathan's the man. So.
I have a lot of respect for Josh. I told him after my fight and after his fight, we were talking, and I said, dude, thank you. I really appreciate our time in the cage together, because it made me a lot better of a fighter. That was one of the things that made me really go back, because what I did against Josh was not at all the game plan. And of course it was a 48-hour game plan, but the whole goal with him was to dance around and pop a jab and sprawl on his shots, because we knew that he was going to try to take me down. We didn't know it was going to be that quick. You know what I'm saying? It was not to pull a guillotine. It was not to do that. I've done that in a lot of fights, and it's gotten me caught up. So it was just, the game plan was to sprawl and to pop a jab. And I told him, thank you for that experience, because it made me a lot better of a fighter. I really had to go back to the drawing board and kind of rebuild, So
did you watch your teammate Walter Flores versus Josh Kozer the other night? What did you think of that?
I was in and out of that fight. I got to go back and rewatch it. I've rewatched 6 or 7 of our fighters on Flow, so I got to go back and rewatch it. But I did catch some of it.
Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, we're being joined here by Nathan Rivera following his KO of the night at Jesse Wable's Amateur Series 4 this past Friday, November 4th, against Christian, was it Harden? Christian Harden, that was.
Harden.
Now, you mentioned ATT and how you just started training there, man. So you've been traveling an hour back and forth. Why? Why ATT? Why that type of sacrifice, man? Because, I mean, you know, gas prices just went through the roof a couple months ago. Like, why do you make that sacrifice in order to get out there with ATT?
Yeah, man, it's definitely, it is a sacrifice because I do live in Marietta. I live close to the square. So by the time I get out of, by the time, you know, I get freed up to go to the gym, I have to leave right before traffic hits. But even then, it's about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. And then it's about 40 minutes to get home after training. And I was at XP North Marietta when I was with under Byron Bloodsworth, and he fought for the NFC multiple times. He used to coach a lot. And me and my training partner, Connor, we went there when our gym closed down. COVID hit, our gym closed down. It was a really small gym, Fusion MMA, and we went to North Marietta. And then Byron was at the end of his coaching career then. Like, he just switched up his job, so we kind of caught him at a wrong time. So I was trying to bouncing around, you know, but the thing with other gyms around here, just in general, is there's no one that puts it all together. We have like full MMA practice here where you can't just come off the street and jump in the class. Like, we have like, you know, you have to be either like a blue belt, I think, or you have to be training for this amount of time. At any given time, I'll get on the mat and there's like 3 or 4 145-pound active MMA fighters to work with, all studs, you know what I mean? And I wasn't getting that at the gyms that I was at before. You know, everything was separate. We had no-gi, we had boxing, we had Muay Thai, we had everything separate, and we had nowhere to put it all together. We did like go live with MMA, but there was no drilling. There was no coach watching us. And I remember the first week I came here, I just was I watched how I came here, I checked it out, and I just watched for the first day so I could really like see how the coaches acted, how the fighters acted. And it was crazy. Like, just Coach Brantley and Coach Diego are really on it. Like, Coach Brantley cares about the fighters more than anyone I've ever met. Like, he really puts the fighters first. I mean, he's out every weekend cornering us. He goes above and beyond, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of fighters. It's a serious task, and he steps up to the plate and takes care of us for real. So
we put questions on Facebook and Instagram earlier for people to ask the fighters questions tonight. And one of your guys, Addison Graves, that's at your gym and also helps us with the fights, but a question that's probably pretty good for you. What's the best advice you've gotten from seasoned fighters or coaches?
You know what's crazy is that it's not like the same. You're probably going to get like 3 or 4 different answers, and that just speaks to the level of coaching that is here. It's not just a cookie cutter, do this, do that. Like, they know us and they know what we work well with, and they know how we respond to different things. So the biggest thing that I got, which I've been working on for myself, and my coaches know that, is like Brantley just told me, you have to believe in yourself, bro. Like I believe in you. Your teammates believe in you. Like, believe in yourself. And that really impacted me. He told me that before my fight, and it really meant a lot to me. And he was telling me, like, dude, you're a fucking stud, bro. Like, go out there and show it. And it's exactly what I needed to hear, you know? And he's so dialed in, and me and Brantley have a really good relationship. And it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. Brantley is definitely, I don't work a ton with Diego. I work with him when he's in the evenings, but with what I do, I only come, he works in the mornings a lot. I come in the evening. So I mainly work with Coach Brantley.
And what do you think is next for you? Now you're 3-3 in MMA. You were 2-3. You've got a 500 record now. Do you see yourself staying amateur a couple more fights, or do you have anyone you're looking to fight out there?
It's really up to my coaches. You know, it's up to whatever Brantley says is the right move. I have a lot of trust in them. You know, if they want me to stay amateur for however long I'll stay amateur, if they want me to go pro and they think I'm ready, I'd go pro. I would like to get some amateur fights where I test my grappling, because this camp, and since I've joined ATT, it's been all wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and putting it all together. I didn't get to show any of that. But that's been my main focus for like the past 9 months. And the film study that I've been doing, like everything I've been doing is kind of surrounded around grappling recently. And so I'd like to show that before I go pro, you know.
We'll do one of our NFC Jiu-Jitsu events. There you go.
So I've done one of those, but I'd like to show it, put it all together. You know what I mean? I really would like to get on the jiu-jitsu events though. If you guys have some blue belt openings, that'd be dope. Those look fun.
What belt do you, Julian?
Nah, you got to give me some time, but I would definitely compete against you, Nathan. I would definitely take the fight, bro. I would definitely take the fight. Just give me some time.
Man.
Let me get right, man. But when I get right, you're going to be right. We can do that.
Hell yeah.
It'd be the fight of the decade. We can bill it and everything.
We'll do the tag team jiu-jitsu. Myself and Julian, just versus you.
Word.
We can do that.
Word.
Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, we've been joined here by my man Nathan Rivera following his 16-second knockout over Christian Harden at Jesse Wable's Amateur Series number 4. You mentioned how you're able to get to ATT Team Lima all the way in Gwinnett after you're freed up. What are you doing during the day in order to make ends meet?
So for the last 2.5 years, I worked as a commercial AR specialist, and it was just a desk job at home, working from home, and it really wasn't for me. So about 2 months ago, I started welding school. So I'm a certified welder now. I graduate on December 9th, I'm sorry. And that week following, I'll be working as a certified welder. So right now I'm just going through the school, and it's from 7 o'clock to 2:30, and that's in Ackworth, so kind of the opposite side of the map. And then I go home in Marietta, take a quick shower, grab some food, get to the gym at 4:30. I leave at 3:30, get there at 4:30, and then I'm here until about 8:39 every night. Chad just texted me and said, "Tell Julian I want sub in the night." Anyways, but yeah, so by the time I leave here, I go home, I take a shower, wake up, do it all over again.
That seems like a whole lot of sacrifice that you're making, man. And I think that just leads me to this. What are you fighting for, Nathan? Why are you going out there and putting it on the line and going through, the physical pain, the mental attrition, the daily drives back and forth? Why are you doing this, man?
Dude, so the why actually for me, it changed kind of when I spent a lot of time working on myself and my mental and figuring out my why. Because I was how much I'm training, how much I'm doing. I know I'm fighting good fighters, but something's not right. I'm 2-3, and I'm doing the most. I'm doing more than anybody that I fight. You know what I'm saying? But it's not adding up. So something's not right here. So I really had to go back and think about it. And before I was what's my why? And I didn't really have one. And I was just man, my why is so that when I'm gone one day, people will remember my name. And that's a really selfish why. It's just shallow. But that was just when people ask me what's your why? Why do you do that? Because that's a common question, right, in the fight world, and that's a pretty shitty why. So I really did some thinking and some really, why am I doing this? Why, and who inspires me? What have I pulled from other people? And the thing that I came up with is that when I have kids one day, or people that look up to me, or the people that I can mentor. And that's another reason why I fight, is because it provides a really good platform for me to give back. It could be a different platform, but for me, this is the platform that it kind of chose me, but I want just my kids to know one day that if you really love something, you can find a way to make money from it. And kind of what you're doing, Julian, I remember you told me, you were yeah, dude, I kind of this wasn't a thing before. There was no one doing podcasts like this. There was nobody interviewing people after the fights, and you kind of made that niche, and now you're making money off of it. And it's a similar why for me. It's because I love MMA, and I love competing, and I love that I'm a better man when I compete. I'm a better boyfriend, a better son, a better friend. The day that switches, if that ever switched, I would stop fighting, because I believe it makes me a better man. And I really want my kids to know one day that if you want to be a painter or an artist, you can make money off of it. You don't have to listen to all those old heads that tell you, fuck that, go get a job, go to college, do this, because you can't make money from that. That's not a real job. It can be a real job. One of my teammates, Trayshawn Gore, just choked the fuck out of that guy on UFC Fight Pass and made $50K. Tell me you can't make a living out of this. You know what I'm saying? So that's my why. And ever since I dialed that in, my life kind of changed. You know, I wasn't going to the gym every day for me. I wasn't going here to show everybody that, you know, I'm going to be remembered one day. It's not that. It's to inspire others so that they can, and of course it's fun, dude. You know what I mean? Like, this is the best thing you could do, like knocking heads, you know what I'm saying? But like, it really is just, hopefully one day my kids will be like, dang, bro, I want to follow that up.
So I did have one question. You're saying, how are you a better boyfriend when you fight? Like, what does that mean?
I mean, you know, like just the people that I'm around when I fight and when I compete, I think I hold myself to a higher standard all around, right? Like I hold myself to a higher standard with what I eat, with how I act, with my training. I'm more disciplined. My girlfriend will probably tell me the opposite, but I think it makes me more self-aware when I fight, because you can't let anything slide because someone's going to check you on your bullshit in a couple weeks in the cage. So it makes me more self-aware all around in all aspects of my life.
Your dad was there at the fight. It seems like you were pointing directly at him when you got up on the cage, man. My dad is my best friend. I could say that confidently, man. How did that feel to share that moment with him?
It felt great. My dad's been at every single one of my fights. And it's cool. You know, it felt really good that he was there. He gets really nervous. You know what I mean? Before the fight, I think he gets more nervous than me just sitting there. So it's cool to share that. My dad, he did sports in high school, and he competes in other things and stuff. And, you know, he really, like, oh man, he loves boxing. He loves fighting. He's a fan of the sport. So for me to show my dad, you know, all this time I invest when I was a kid, putting me in Taekwondo and putting me in wrestling and all this stuff, showing him that it kind of paid off, and I can do what I love and be successful at it. It definitely makes me happy.
That's beautiful, man. That's a dope ass why too. If I gotta say so, my damn self.
For sure.
That's a beautiful moment, man. Was able to talk with him, man. He was definitely proud of his son and that 16-second knockout. Now, David, I did ask what was next. Did you ask what was next?
Yeah, I think I asked him if he's going to stay amateur or go pro. He said it was up to his trainers, and if there's anyone he wanted to call out there.
Yeah, was there anybody that you did want to fight?
I mean, no, there's not really anyone that I have like my eyes on. Like, I really want that fight. Like, whoever comes. I don't know. This might sound weird. I don't really have like. It's not really like I'm fighting a person. Whenever someone, like, it's not like I'm fighting them. I'm literally just fighting a style. It feels like.
You're just fighting the goal. You're fighting the goal of getting a fight, training for it, overcome the obstacle,
right?
And doing
like
everything that goes into it.
It sounds
regardless of who we put.
Yeah, like whoever it is. Like let's say I fight someone who has really good hands. They're just a fighter that has hands. Like their name doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm fighting a really good wrestler. All right, cool. I'm fighting a really good wrestler. Now I'm gonna tweak the whole next 6 weeks of my life to prepare for this opponent. So it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here trying to duck. I've never ducked anybody. You know, Jesse, one thing Jesse said, I think, to me, or maybe my coaches, he said, Nathan's never turned down a fight. No matter how many opponents switches up, Nathan has never turned down a fight. And if you go look at my Tapology, there's like 7 canceled bouts, and that's not even all of them, and I've never turned down one of them. So, you know, it is what it is. Amateur is all about, and this is so funny because I'm talking to Julian now after a win, but after my second loss, I was talking to Julian. I said, this is what amateur is all about. Like, I'm not here for easy. I don't know if I said this, but I'm not here for easy fights. I said, I'm here to just learn and get better, because, you know, whenever that time comes that I go pro, it's not going to matter.
And I don't.
And 2 years ago, you actually fought and lost to your now teammate, Mike Bardsley.
Right. And that's one of my closest teammates. And we're really good friends. And he's so encouraging and gives me such good tips. And one of the most humble, like, bad motherfuckers, dude. Like, he's the hardest round. I hate fighting him. I hate grappling him. Like, man, he makes me so much better. So it's crazy. We really then we bonded during that fight. We had like a 3-round brawl, and that was like one of the most fun fights. If someone said, what was your favorite fight, it was that fight.
And as you guys were talking about your dad, Ashley Sprayberry, who works at our front door, said Nathan's dad was the first person at the door and was an absolute pleasure to chat with for 45 minutes.
Good. Yeah, he gets there early. He doesn't want to miss it.
Shout out to your dad, man. And Nathan, you mentioned the conversation that we had a couple years ago, man. I don't know if you remember. My response to that was like, your comeback story is going to be one of the best ever, man.
No doubt.
And what you did on Friday night was definitely something that tugged at my heartstrings, man. Seeing you do that and seeing you hold that Philippines flag proudly, bro. That was a great moment, man. We're so happy that we were able to witness that, share it with you. Before we part ways today, man, we want your final thoughts. What do you want to leave us in the NFC community?
You know, I like the NFC. I like the venues. I like that when you guys say something's going to happen, it happens. There's no bullshit. You get your fight check after the fight at the same time. When you're in the back, you get your gloves. There's no bullshit. You know what I mean? And it runs smooth. And that's the reason why it's been running for 20 years. You know what I mean? Or however long it's been running. I've seen other promotions, and it's always some shit's always whack. You know what I'm saying? I like the NFC. I like fighting for Jesse Wable's amateur series. I really would like to headline one time. Get maybe a quick 5-rounder in before I go pro, maybe. Or not even, bro. Not even if you want to just let me headline it. If you want to see me knock someone out for 5, for a big build up, you know what I'm saying? I like the promos too. Those are fun. So that's it. That's about it, man.
I
appreciate you guys and Julian and Jenly. Just you guys are doing a great job with all the production of that, like the videos and the interviews and shit. Like that's not something that a lot of amateurs get to experience. So I'm really appreciative of it.
Much love, bro.
And you actually got paid before the fight. We handed out your check.
I'll take that, man.
Absolutely. Nathan, we appreciate you, man. Shout out to you for just doing your thing and joining us on your first ever podcast, man. This is NFC Now. That is Nathan Rivera. Next to him is David Oblas. Nathan, we appreciate you so much. And you know what? You ask and you shall receive. I love the way that you're vocal about what you want. You said you want to headline a Jesse Wable's amateur series. I'm sure he's listening to this, and I'm sure he thinks that is a good idea because I think that is an amazing idea, brother.
Word. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
For sure. Have a good one, Nathan. I'm talking about you are quick on that M button, David.
Hey, I'm looking at the schedule. We tell Anthony King he's on at 8:15. It's 8:16. I know you were talk forever. So if I don't remove them from the podcast, we'll be here till 9:15 talking to him, leave Anthony there. But yeah, I think Nathan's right. Looking at his ticket sales, he sold a good amount of tickets. He had a good fight. There's good energy. He's never said no to anybody. But to be the main event, unfortunately, it does take 2 to tango. You know, we have to get someone that's worthy of being the main event versus him at 150, 155 pounds. I don't think it would be difficult. Luckily, he is in a very popular weight class. So, yeah, I definitely see that happening, February or March when we come back and do it.
Can I throw something out there? I was thinking as he was saying that, I know we had Trace Harper on a couple weeks ago. I think that would be an interesting matchup, the way those guys are both built. Trace Harper, I know Ryan Kimbrough's in that same class. We got the guy that was supposed to fight and defend his belt this past week. What was my man's name?
TJ Spires. I think it was him that got injured, I believe. He got injured because Quincy Evans ended up fighting this weekend.
And he looked great. Quincy Evans hit this guy with a 2-piece body shot and then came back upstairs with a right hand from hell. I saw Jimmy Neely just hopping in on that, having to break up the fight. So I feel like we got some bodies at 155 that could possibly tango with
Ryan
Nathan
Kimbrough
Rivera.
Up there. Ryan Kimbrough is from Creighton MMA. He's 3-0 at 155. I know Ryan wants to fight for the titles. That might be some kind of main event right there, title eliminator. I know Trace Harper's in there as well. But yeah, for Trace to go to Tanner Rose, probably over an hour and a half from where he lives, I imagine he won't have a lot of fans. Drive all the way up there. So might make sense for Nathan Rivera versus Kimbrough for a title eliminator or something like that.
I like that we're making fights here on NFC Now. And one thing before we go to our next guest, I got to say, man, Nathan's why was so beautiful to me. As he so eloquently explained, like, why he does what he does and why he wants to do, why he continues to train and fight. I feel like that answer really embodied what we do here at NFC Now. Those are the stories that I search for, and I appreciate Nathan for just being so vulnerable and real in his answer and about the things that he has gone through in order to, and that's what made that victory this past week so sweet, was the mental obstacles, his why, what he does on a daily basis, man. And we got guys going to welding school, we got guys building fences. And we got guys getting W's out here, just like our next guest, my man.
I
Anthony
wonder if
King.
his girlfriend's going to make him fight more often now. If he becomes a better boyfriend when he fights, is his girlfriend going to say, you need to fight more often, minus the porn stash? So, yeah, it'll be fun to see that. Let's bring on Big Anthony King. We told him 8:15. I see him cracking up over there. You able to hear all of this, Anthony?
Yes, sir. The porn stash.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I have a fiance.
Yeah, a fiance. Do you become a better fiance when you're training for a fight?
I had to kind of keep stick.
So let's hit your video real quick since you're on here and go back and see what we have for you. Give me 1 second. We'll pull it in here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, all 3 judges scored this contest 30-27 for your winner by unanimous decision, Anthony King.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Bad Company King is now officially joining us here on NFC Now. Anthony, not how you doing, my brother, but how you living?
Living great, man. Saying that, how about
I'm doing okay. It seems like your phone is kind of going in and out. Like I hear a couple words and then I don't hear a couple words. Let's try that now.
How about now? You hear me?
Yeah, you in the bathroom? Where you at, bro?
No, I'm actually just in my room.
That's what's up, man. Well, welcome to NFC Now, man. Thank you for joining us this evening. When you watch that video, man, what are your thoughts?
Why my opponent was raising his hand like he won.
Yo, you know what's funny? I was thinking the same exact thing, bro. When I just rewatched that, I was like, I wonder why he's raising his hand, because it was 30-27.
I agree. I mean, of course, I didn't do as much damage as I wanted, but I thought skill-wise and technique-wise, he couldn't keep up with me. I felt I was too fast, too solid in my technique. And when he raised his hand, I know you probably that little look I gave him, the little side eye. I couldn't help. Yeah.
So let's double back before the fight even started. I gotta say, your walkout song was top tier, my guy. 21 Savage, you came out with it, bro. Like what does that song make you feel like as you're about to walk into war?
I don't run. I'm not in there with them. They're in there with me.
When
Win,
you made
lose, draw.
when you made the walk, what were your emotions?
This is my child. You know, I mentioned before, I got a child on the way. I got a new fiance. As I said in my interview, you know, people might think it's over dramatic, but it's not fun and games anymore. I got a family to feed.
I've always been curious, so I'll ask you right now. What's with the hair? You got the little
Rat tail.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember my first fight for the NFC. I had my hair in braids. I used to have my hair down to my shoulder, and I'm a welder on top of a fighter, and it just with training and work, it just got too much to bear during the summer. And I like having long hair, but I got a weird ass head shape. So having other hairstyles is a little hard. And I saw this hairstyle on a TV show. I thought I could pull it off, and I feel like I can.
It is a little bit rat tail like. I've always liked it.
Thank you.
And I think you asked me every event when you and I are doing jiu-jitsu against each other, and I tell you every single time it's never happening. So
Come on, you're the owner. You got to get in there.
I did get in there once versus Germonte. I made it out alive, and it's never ever happening again. So.
You and I can do a little exhibition kickboxing with those big ass pillow gloves.
There's a lot of things you and I can do, but there's absolutely zero things we are going to do in a cage in front of 1,000 people. I would probably shit myself if you put me in a cage in front of 1,000 people out there. I mean, do the nerves not get to you at all going out there?
Sir?
Do the nerves not get to you at all going out there in front of 1,000 people?
They do, but once I'm making that walk, nothing matters anymore. It's win, it's kill or be killed. You know, it's go out there and succeed at all costs.
Do you have any kind of athletic background, like wrestled in high school, did boxing?
Yes, sir. I've actually wrestled all through high school. Did not go to the collegiate level, unfortunately, because I got a little bit in trouble after high school. But I picked this up about 2.5 years ago, and it's been uphill from there.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Bad Company King joining us here on NFC Now. Bad Company, where does that come from? I saw you had it on the pants too.
Just kind of came to me, really. Just I got to be someone that they fear. I got to be someone that I don't mean them anything good. I mean them nothing but harm when I'm in the cage with them.
I love that energy, man. But, just talking to you outside the cage, man, at weigh-ins and after the fight, before the fight, man, you seem like you're very family-oriented. You're a family man. You said you multiple times shouted out your fiance and your baby to come, man. I see you have that Filipino patch right here on your shoulder, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Could you just talk about not only your Filipino roots, but like your family-oriented mindset?
So my mother is Filipino and my father is white, so I'm half Filipino. And I was primarily raised by my mom and my grandmother, who is just in the other room over there.
Lola.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What was the question again? I'm sorry, I blanked out.
Just your Filipino roots and you being family oriented. I know you said when you get into that cage, you're Bad Company, man. But outside the cage, man, you've only been nothing but love to me.
Right. And I think that's how I am with all people. I'm sure that's how Filipino culture is. We love everybody. We just want to hug everybody and feed everybody the good food that we have and share our culture and just share laughs. But when I'm in that cage, when I'm making that walk, it's business. And a couple people ask me why I'm so nice outside of it and me try to be mean on the inside. And I feel like I've grown up a lot with bullying, violence throughout my life, and abuse. And I think this is a way to harness it that I've dealt with throughout my life.
As kids, we always remember what we were bullied about, man. What were you bullied about?
There's everything. I moved around a lot as a kid, and I developed, I was just real socially awkward. So maybe in some instances I brought it upon myself, but, it just kind of trickled down from there, and there was abuse and just family-wise and things of that nature as well.
How'd you end up at SBG Buford? What led you to being with Philippe and Jim Shepard and all those guys?
So I was actually around the time I first started fighting, I was at a relatively small gym in Gainesville, which is where I live now. And I remember after my first fight, Jesse, even though I lost that fight, he said he was impressed, and he gave me the connections to go to SBG. And about 6 months after that, I was trying to stay loyal to my coach at the time, but I wasn't really seeing the results that I wanted. And I thought, it was time I took it seriously and time I committed to an actual gym. And like I keep saying, it's uphill from there.
Does anybody bully you about the rat tail?
No, they can't now.
Because you're tough as shit now.
Yeah, I gotta be. I'm small and got a funky haircut.
I personally think the rat tail is the most gangster cut that we have in the sport right now, man. Like I love it because it's different. Like you're your own character. You ever played Mortal Kombat back in the day and you flipping through the characters and you the one character with the Filipino flag and the rat tail. It's like, I want to play with that dude. You know what I mean?
At SBG, the pet name is the Rat King, which given my last name, I can't be called the Rat in the NFC cage. You know what I mean?
Oh, but honestly, that okay. All right, I ain't gonna talk you into it, man.
You can finish, but
I ain't gonna talk you into it. Now, I wanna go a little personal, man. I was going through IG, watching fight posters, man. I can't help but notice there's a scar on your pec.
Yes, sir.
Could you explain how that got there?
I was born like that. Around the time I started wrestling and lifting weights, I noticed that I just don't develop muscle on that side of my chest.
How has that affected you, and as you've continued to just progress in your athletic career through wrestling and now that you're doing Muay Thai?
It's more of just an aesthetic thing. It's not a disability in any way. It doesn't stop me from doing anything physical. It's more just the muscle just doesn't reach that far.
I appreciate your honesty and vulnerability, man. This is what we do here on NFC Now, man. We talk about things. You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Indeed. Dave?
What do you see coming up for you next? I mean,
Well, I'm sure y'all know too. I was supposed to make an advanced amateur debut August 20th against Dana Leroy Holmes, but he was not able to fight. So I took this fight against Caesar, even though I was able to fight in advance. And any advanced amateur 125ers out there listening to this, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go tomorrow, January 20th. It don't matter.
any particular guys you've seen that you think you would match up well or you'd want to fight against?
I'm not. The 125-pound division, as far as advanced amateurs go, isn't that deep. But Adam Salicio, the champ Cameron Burton, given the right opportunity, right time. I think I need at least another fight before going against someone of his caliber. But if I have that fight next, I'll work my ass off to win it.
And you mentioned you did train at a small gym in Gainesville. Was it Full Throttle or was it a different gym?
It was a different gym. This one, it was around for about a year or so.
Okay, because when you talked about Gainesville, I didn't know if it was that Full Throttle where Cameron is actually, obviously. So
No,
yeah.
not.
Okay, cool.
Now, and why? Why do you fight? Why do you do this, man? Why you get into a cage in front of everybody, man, and put yourself in position to be embarrassing and put yourself in not only, the cage, but bad company?
I think this is more than one reason why. I think it has to do with my bloodline. I think it has to do with what I went through growing up, what I went through, as an adult, what I've been fighting for. Again, not to be redundant, but my kid, my fiance, my family. And as I said, it's in my blood. I have years and years and centuries of warrior blood in my spirit.
Indeed, man, and we see that every time you go out there and step into the cage and put on for not only your team but your family, man, your soon-to-be child. Are you wishing for a boy or a girl?
I'll be happy either way, but like I mentioned to you at the weigh-ins, I would love a little girl to make her a little strangler. To be a monster.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, girls are definitely where it's at, man. But I'm sure, just like you, man, just wishing for a healthy child.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anthony King, final thoughts, man. Something you want to leave us here with before we part ways?
Like I said, David, Jesse, any advanced amateur 125ers out there, we're just get back. I'm ready right now.
I'm supposed to go biking with Adam Silcio soon, so I'll let him know.
Tell him to hurry up and make weight.
Don't beat up my biking partner, though.
I might have to.
Don't kick the legs. Just waist up so we can still bike together.
Nothing but respect. He's a killer, but I got that killer in me too. Let's see what we can make happen.
Bad company. That's Anthony King. Anthony, we appreciate your time this Monday evening to join us here on NFC Now. Yo, keep doing your thing. Keep representing, bro. It's all love and respect, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me. Y'all be safe.
Hold it down.
I gave him a couple seconds before I moved him there. You should be proud.
Yeah, you gave him a little breathing space. Man. Yeah, no, I damn, that question that you're asking him is killing him today, man. Who do you want next? That's a real promoter we're looking at right now.
It seems like not many guys really know who's even in their weight class or who is next. I guess maybe they don't want to think about it after the fight. Maybe some of them only look at the title guys, the title holders. But it seems like a lot of these guys don't even know or care who's next for them. It's kind of odd. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know who I want.
Maybe you even bringing it up so many times on the pod, man, is going to get people like, hey, I want this person, man. So I love the question, and just even some of the names that I've heard thrown out today have been like, ooh, like I could see like when he said him versus Cameron Burton. I love watching Cameron Burton fight, and I mean, I think that'll be a good fight. Him versus Adam, I think that'll be a great fight because Adam fired Cameron. He mentioned somebody else. I'm like, there's fights to be had. There's fights to be had.
And it's location as well. I mean, if he fights Adam Silcio, maybe that's a district fight because Adam's at Bangkok Boxing, a mile from district. Maybe if he fights Cameron Burton, that's one that takes place at Tannery Row. So it also depends on when these guys are available, when the other one is available, and if we've got several dates lined up and which venue works out. So the venue kind of almost dictates who's going to fight and who they will fight against each other. So it's always interesting.
That's very fascinating the way that you said the venue dictates that, because again, that's you, David, in the promoter brain as always, man. But like, it only makes sense if like, hey, if the venue's 10 miles away from where you train, that makes more sense than you going like a Trace Harper all the way to Tannery Row. It doesn't make sense.
No, I mean, it wouldn't be good for us financially to put Trace Harper in. And maybe this is a conversation for Trace if he thinks his fans would go, especially on a Friday with traffic and work and everything like that. But I think Trace Harper would make more money at Monday Night Brewing and District. I think it would be better for Trace to fight there. He'd have more fans. He'd have more people rooting for him, and he'd make more money on ticket commission. So, yeah, I think you definitely weigh those things in, and, you see what's working for these guys.
Indeed. Do we have Walter in the queue?
Yeah, let's bring him on. I see him on there. I just don't see his face. Maybe he's waiting till we bring him on to open up his camera.
Well, if he's not ready, man, I know we do have our mailbag available. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFC Now. This is our 8th podcast that we're doing here. That's David Oblas. I'm Julian Virgin. We're about to be joined here by Walter Flores. If Walter's not up, we can take him off right now. But we do have a mailbag, and if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns that you would like us to answer here on NFC Now, we'd love to get to them. I know we've been talking to Nathan Rivera. We had Anthony, the Bad Company King, Nathan, the Reaper Rivera, Anthony, Bad Company King. We also had Chad Risley on, as well as Jesse Wable, as we've been recapping a great night of fights at Tannery Row this past Friday evening. You want to give him a second, Dave?
Yeah, so Walter, we see just a black screen, and I see just a thing rotating on your screen. So maybe log out and log back on. We're keep looking for you on the bottom there, and if you come in, we'll flash over to you. But yeah, we did put on IG, for people to ask us questions. I'm going to kind of scroll through them until we get Walter on here. Flatline Cinema, I believe that's Jenna Lee there. Can we get an ATT Team Lima versus SPG fight night at Tannery, gym against gym? Not to be rude, but absolutely not. We don't do one gym versus one gym. It would suck for ticket sales if we did that. We try not to promote any particular gyms versus everyone. We try to be as neutral as we can. And the odd thing is, it seems like ATT Lima has a huge fighter database right now. SPG has a lot. But these things come and go in waves. I mean, every 6 months or a year as a new gym opens, you see a lot of fighters go there. They get new pizzazz. A new trainer goes from one gym to another and stuff like that. So when we plan out a fight 6 months from now, it might not even be the same fighters at that gym. But no, just because we're not going to do one gym versus one gym, we do 14 fights in one night. If we did one gym versus one gym, it would be like 3 fights, 4 fights maybe. And at the same time, every other gym in Atlanta would absolutely hate us. So we don't want to make it where, every gym absolutely hates us. If you want to chime in with your thoughts, but
you know what? Again, that's you coming with your great promoter insight, man. I know you don't like the word promoter, man, but I think small business doesn't really encompass what you're thinking, because I think that's a great thought. From my perspective, every time on Friday I said ATT Lima, the crowd went crazy. Yeah. Or every time I said SBG Buford, the crowd went bananas. And so I think that's where she was coming on that. And when she first said it, I was like, damn, that's actually a great idea. But then
maybe it's a great idea for a Tanner Row show, maybe like the last 2 or 3 fights or something like that. But we still need all the gyms, not only for all the fighters, but all the fans. I mean, if you look at the fans, there's probably, I don't know, I can add up the exact stats, but it's probably only about 60% combined ATT and SPG up there. Knuckle Up had a lot of guys. This gym had a lot. That gym had a lot. So when you look at it, maybe 60% were from those 2 gyms combined. All those Abraham Perez fans didn't come for SPG or ATT Lima, of course. They came to see Abraham Perez. So you need a good mix of all the gyms in there, 10 to 15 fights, and not just one gym versus one gym. A year or 2 ago, it was Team Octopus Sandy Springs, was where all the fighters were at. Right before that, it was X3 West Midtown, where all the fighters are at. A lot are at Team Lima right now and spread out, and we're seeing them go elsewhere. We're seeing the next gym pop up, and it comes and goes. It goes in waves, I guess you could say.
Indeed.
But to answer the question, we try to spread it all out evenly. Shiro 022120, your page is fire. Would love to know your thoughts on my music. That might be towards you, because I don't listen to music.
I would have to check out Shiro 022120 a little bit later, man. Drop a link. Let me just drop a link, and let the community answer that question.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, your music sucks. I've never heard of it. Hopefully that person's not bigger than me. Everyone's bigger. Mariah Jasmine, Rich's Mariah and Sam Sell from Warrior Jiu-Jitsu. When is the next?
Shout out
NFC
Mariah
Jiu-Jitsu
Samsel. That's my girl.
Yeah. So we don't do jiu-jitsu tournaments anymore post-COVID. We did them during COVID at Elite Edge. Since COVID ended and we're back open at venues, we just do NFC Jiu-Jitsu pro-style events. I got to talk to Cat Daddy Clay Bennett. Next event will probably be January or February. We're not doing any events in December. So probably looking at January or February for the next jiu-jitsu event at District. We'll let you know. But also in addition, we have been doing jiu-jitsu matches in the cage at our NFC MMA events. They've gone well. It's something we definitely want to continue doing. So if you want to fight jiu-jitsu in the cage, where we do them, definitely let us know. Next one's January 20th at Monday Night Brewing.
Before we switch, well, it was switched, but I got to give a special shout out to Mariah Samsel, man. She, I remember the first time I watched her fight, I was like, wow, like that girl's impressive. And man, she just competes in everything. Win, lose, or draw, she's out there competing. Like she's asking when the next jiu-jitsu tournament is because I'm assuming that she wants some smoke. So.
Yeah, I mean, she's done MMA, she's done jiu-jitsu. When I first met her, she was, and she still is, absolutely completely shy and timid and hardly talks at all. I remember she fought Chloe Greeley in a really good fight on our Otis Nixon event that we did for charity on a Sunday night. And then the cool thing about this is there's not a lot of females out there. And the cool thing is now Chloe and Mariah train together. I've seen many photos of them training. And Mariah was supposed to compete on Conflict MMA's last card, but she failed her eye exam the week of or the week before. So she was actually taken off the Conflict card because she failed her eye exam. And I think she just had eye surgery. And now she's looking to compete again, obviously. So
I will say to her shyness, and that was my first read on her. But the last time we were at the District, Mariah, after the fight was over, was so kind, came over, said hello to everybody, and just showed love. So, Mariah is a very young lady as well. Forgive me if I'm wrong, maybe 20. She's growing into her own, and we love to see it. Love to see her compete on the NFC stage.
Yeah. Next question. How did it feel when Abraham won? I imagine he obviously means Abraham Perez. I don't know if that's a shot against us or not, but to me, it felt good when Abraham won. We support all fighters. I have favorites. Everyone has favorites, guys we like or don't like, but I think everyone likes Abraham Perez. He's such a nice guy. He was impressive on last week's podcast. He's been nothing but respectful to everybody. So how did it feel when he won it? I thought it felt terrific to see him win. I was shocked. I felt bad for Chris Wynn, another super nice guy. But that's what happens in a fight, unless it's a draw, one guy wins and one guy loses. And I'm super happy for Abraham, super nice guy.
Shout out to Abraham Perez. Shout out to his opponent, Chris Wynn, as well, man. As we do these promos before the fight and we'll go to the gyms, we're able to really build a rapport with the fighters. And it's I don't pick fights for that reason. It's just more or less like, hey, may the best man win, because we do have these personal connections. So it does hurt when you see a Chris Wynn get hurt. To get choked out. But it also is a beautiful moment to see Abraham and his brother celebrating, and then his entire crowd, they're clicking, waving their Mexican flags and with their shirts. I got to stand up and put my Abraham Perez shirt on. You know what I'm saying? Whoa.
Yeah, it's even got the NFC gloves on there. That's pretty impressive.
You know what I'm saying? That's good product placement, isn't it? That's good product placement. So, yeah, it was amazing. It was an incredible scene. And then when Abraham Perez got up and he, did the whole belt thing, and he was like, "Put the belt on me," and then he quieted Chris Wynn's crowd. That was a moment. You know what I'm saying? That was one of those moments that you'll never forget. And I'm happy that Abraham Perez was able to get that moment, to answer your question.
And I think his person, Angel Chavez, who asked the question, said it was not a shot. Sorry about that. Chris was nice. So yeah, at least we agree. Yeah, we didn't take it as a shot, but took it as a question. I know now I see Walter Flores' video. So let's go ahead and bring Walter, and I know he's been waiting for a while there. Can you hear us, Walter?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. You're good.
Word. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, our guy Walter Flores is now joining us after his big split decision victory over Josh Kozier at Jesse Wable's Amateur Series number 4 this past Friday night. A couple days later, man, how do you feel?
I feel good, kind of tired because I went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee with the family right after, so kind of tired. the foot kind of hurts because I walked on it all day for 2 days straight.
And indeed, we were trying to get you to join before the fight. We were unable to get you up there because you talked about how you're saving lives, man. Would you be able to just give us a little more insight about, what you do outside the cage?
Yeah, outside the cage, I work at the hospital. I work over here at Northside Hospital. Actually work there 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. 3 days within the week. And I train in the morning at 9:30. So days that I work, I don't sleep. I just go straight to training, and I don't sleep until maybe 11 or 12 o'clock.
Indeed, man. We completely understand that, man. We wanted you to join just to preview your fight against Josh Kozier. But now that it's over, man, that was a very close fight, very competitive fight, man. When the decision was being read, and I know there was a lot of back and forth. I had to go back to the commission to make sure I got it correctly. When you were listening to the decision being read, man, what were your thoughts? Did you think you did enough to actually secure the victory?
I was just confident I was gonna win regardless, because I needed to get at my, because I needed to tell the people what they needed to hear. God put in my heart for them to hear. So that was the only goal, just to win. So I knew I was gonna win regardless.
David?
Josh Kozier, I'm sure you've heard, is Jesse's best friend. Do you want to issue an apology to Jesse Wable?
Nah, man. I mean, I knew that from the beginning, because I was like, all right, well, if he can't make weight, hopefully I know they're gonna move up the weight class to 45. So I'm just gonna keep quiet and just do my work.
Does it, from a fighter's perspective, fighting on a show that's called the Jesse Wable Amateur Series, fighting, Jesse's best friend, Josh Kozier, in your image, are you cool with that fight, or do you think you might be stepping into hostile territory, or judges against you or anything like that?
Nah, I mean, I was looking forward to the fight, even when it was announced for him to fight my training partner Josh. I knew, for some reason, I was like, all right, man, we got to get ready, because I already knew that Josh was in the works with bare knuckles, so that would be a possibility. And I wanted to fight Josh because I know Josh is a tough guy, a tough opponent. He's had more fights than I have, and I know he's battle tested, so that was going to be a good fight regardless. So I was getting ready for that.
And I think Jenna Lee is going to yell at us if we don't show your video. So let's go ahead and break in the middle here and go ahead and show what she's put together.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 5-minute rounds, we have a split decision. Judge A scores the contest 30-27 Flores. Judge B scores the contest 29-28 Kozier. And Judge C scores the contest 29-28 for your winner by split decision, Walter Flores.
How much does your heart sink when you hear split decision of the, going back like that, the 5-second delay that Julian gives you before he reads a third scorecard off? Like, how much does your heart go? Can you hear us at all? Are you still there?
The screen is froze.
There you go. You just moved. We can see you now.
Okay.
Did you hear him? Did you hear the question at all?
No, I didn't hear the question.
After the video, you could see both you and Josh very much in doubt as Julian read off your scorecard, then his scorecard, then the third one as a split decision. Like, what's going through your mind, or how much does your heart sink during that 5 seconds, till Julian reads that third scorecard for the winner?
Yeah, I mean, when the first judge said the score, I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, that's a good score. And then after the second judge, I was like, oh man, that's it, bro. They're gonna give it to Josh because his hometown's over here. So there goes another one. I was just like, fuck.
Now, Walter, walking into the cage, man, you were on a 4-fight skid. when you were walking in there, man, like what was on the line for you?
Man, and I wouldn't say I was nervous. I was just very confident. I put in the work. You know, I feel like in my amateur career, I was training a lot, like twice a day, you know, and I feel like I lost out of that. I started getting a little stagnant and not really training as hard. And then just going to ATT and training with these young lions, man, just seeing them train all the time, kind of gave me the motivation. And I was like, yeah, man, you know, I have to do that. You know, I got to go back and I got to train my ass off, train twice a week, you know, with the sacrifices. And that's what I did this whole camp because I knew that I was going to bring it. So, I mean, he woke me up in the morning and, you know, like I said, like after work, I would just go run and then go train. Like there was I was just constantly just working every time, every camp I did.
A lot of work that was put in order to get that dub, man. Now at weigh-ins, I saw you and your beautiful family, man, your daughter and your wife. You know, just getting that victory. It seemed like that victory is much more than just you in the cage, man. Could you just talk about, you know, just being a dad and finding that balance between training and following your dreams while also, you know, being a family man?
Wait, what was the question?
I said, could you just talk about the balance that you have to find, you know, training hard and having Josh Kozier get you up out of bed while also just being the family man that you are, as I saw you and your beautiful family on the day of the weigh-ins?
Yeah. I mean, it was hard. I mean, luckily with work, I get, you know, 4 days where I don't have to work. So that makes it a lot easier because on those days, you know, I go and I do my work as early as I can in the morning and then just try and spend the rest of the day with my wife and my little girl.
What's your little girl's name? Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
Aviana.
Adriana?
Aviana.
Aviana. I'm sorry. You keep breaking up just a little bit, bro.
Aviana.
Aviana.
Yes.
I'm sorry. We're having a little connection issue. I don't know what the holdup is. It's all good. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're being joined here by Walter Flores on NFC Now, podcast number 8, following Walter Flores' split decision victory over Josh Kozier at Jesse Wable's Amateur Series 4. Now, you also talked about your Peruvian roots, man. Could you just go a little bit more in depth with those?
Yeah, I mean, I was born here in Peru. Peru just runs through my blood. I mean, hey, you know.
For sure, man. I love the way that you were carrying the Peruvian flag, man, while you were in there and getting the decision read and just, you know, walking in and out the cage, man. I could see that you're very prideful about that, man. Now, I wanted to go back to what David was talking about earlier. We had Jesse on last week as well as Josh Kozier, and they talked about how you put up a post basically saying, like, hey, you kind of felt like it was you against the world. Could you go a little bit more into that?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I did it mostly for the promo because the Charles Oliveira fight was coming up, and I saw that Charles Oliveira, that's Islam. So I was like, yo, I feel like I'm Charles versus Islam right now, so I'm going to say the same shit.
That's real. That's real. And I believe that's how Josh Kozier took it. Josh was like, you know, some people have to say stuff in order to hype themselves up.
Yeah.
That's real, man. That's real. We've had a lot of other ATT guys on the show today, man. They talked about what Coach Brentley Furr meant to them. Could you speak on training with Coach Brentley Furr and how he makes a difference in your camps?
Oh, yeah. I mean, me and Brant, we go back, way back. I mean, I remember back in the day, it used to just be me and him in the morning someday. And we would just go through just simple, just footwork and just pad work, just me and him back and forth. And I mean, he's helped my game. You know, he knows me really well. And he knows, you know, that night with Coach was honestly the best I've ever looked and the best I've ever, you know, felt in that game.
David?
You were 1-5 going to the fight. Now you're 2-5. record going the right way. When are you looking to fight again? And, obviously anyone you want to fight or.
Yeah. I'm looking to fight hopefully in January, and I saw the rankings. Number 15 is Brandon Webb, and I know he's been wanting to fight me because Jesse's been throwing his name with my way a couple of while, so that sounds like a pretty good fight. He's 4-4, so I mean I think a good win against him, a young guy, young stud would be a good fight if he's still fighting. I don't know if he's still fighting.
Did you say Raymond Webb or Brandon Webb?
Brandon Webb.
Yeah. So Brandon Webb's out of Chuck Cawthorn's contemporary martial arts. I think he just fought a couple months ago in South Carolina. So yeah, I guess he is back fighting now. So yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight. That's a good camp. That's a good coach. They have he's a real, Chuck is a really good coach actually, and I know that he'll come out of a good camp. So I mean, I feel like that's a good fight for my next opponent. Or, whoever Jesse has or has in mind, I'm down to fight whoever.
When it was Josh versus Josh, it was Josh Kozer versus Josh Mayer. And Josh Mayer pulled out, and actually Diego just texted me like 3 minutes ago about something else. Did Diego come to you and tell you you were in the spot, or did he ask you if you wanted to fight? And how did it even end up being you out of everybody?
Nah, I walked up to Diego, and I told him, yo, Diego, put me in that fight against Josh.
That's gangsty. I like that energy, man.
You still don't want to apologize to Jesse?
No, I think me and Jesse, we squashed it backstage,
I'm kidding. I don't give a shit. It's not the first time Josh Kozer has lost. And I'm looking at Josh Kozer. He's making comments right now online. He said, haha, love it to you a minute ago. I'll love. We all find it funny that Jesse and Josh are best friends, and sooner or later Jesse does have to match Josh in fights, and I've got friends and Jesse has friends, and we've seen some of our very good friends win and lose, but we always try to tell guys, when you fight in the cage and when you fight for us and you fight someone we're obviously friends with, we can't impact the fight one bit. And I say this with our fights, and I know Dana White says it with the UFC, but we don't pick the referees and judges. I pay them, but the Georgia Athletic Commission is the ones that picks them and assigns them. So whether you fight for us, you fight for other shows in Georgia, it's basically the same referees and judges that are available. So, we do make jokes that, you might be fighting one of our best friends, but I think we make it from start to finish as professional as we can and make it all fun and games, but it's 50-50 when you get in there in the cage.
Yeah, that's why hopefully they do the open scoring soon over here in Georgia.
I've thought about that. I agree and disagree with you. I've seen the comments both for and against. I like it. I am for open scoring, and that might be a longer debate that we have online here on the podcast and get fighters' thoughts. I am 100% for open scoring because fighting, boxing, MMA is the only sport in the world really outside of like gymnastics or something else like that the competitors don't know the score during the competition, which is it is stupid. And I know they've tried it in other states, and in some other states, it's worked positive and negative. The negative is if it's a 3-round fight and you're beating Josh 2-0, round 3 is going to be extremely boring. Or if Mayweather is up 7-0 and there's still 5 rounds left, Mayweather's just going to dance around for 5 rounds and make the second part of that fight extremely boring. But that's his choice. If it's open scoring and he thinks he's up 7-0, that's absolutely his choice. If the Falcons are up 40-0, it's their choice to just run it the whole time. So I agree with you. I think we do need open scoring.
In like one championship, don't they start throwing like yellow cards if you're not fighting?
I've never watched one championship, to be honest with you, so I don't know. I've heard they do that, but I don't watch it.
I think if you're gonna switch to open scoring, might as well like have like it's like, okay, if you're kind of avoiding the fight, you kind of you get a yellow card, and that might be like, hey, like if you don't start fighting, then you might get a point deducted. That might be a solution that comes with the implementation of open scoring.
Yeah, so right now the referee will warn you, and maybe we ask Nate or Blake, but I think the referee will warn you in the cage for timidity and just simply not doing anything. And I think you get a warning the first time. The second time, I believe they can take a point away. I'll have to double check with Nate or Blake, but there's not yellow cards, but there is warning if you're just not doing anything and not fighting at all. All right, well, congratulations on the win, Walter. We're glad to see you get that under your belt. And, I think we all look forward to you coming back in January and, get off your feet after being out of town this weekend, on your feet all weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Hit me up. January. Jesse, let's go. Put me on. Hit up Diego. Doesn't matter who, what, where, when. Just need to sign the contract. That's it.
I love that energy again, ladies and gentlemen. That is Walter Flores following his split decision victory over Josh Kozier on Friday at Jesse Wable's Amateur Series. Walter, thank you so much for your time. Say hello to your beautiful family. We will see you in January, hopefully.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Peace out.
Peace out, brother. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFC Now. This is our 8th show. We're doing this here. We're figuring it out, man. We had a couple of technical hiccups today, man, but it's part of a live show. That's what you're going to get. We're trying our best, people. We're trying our best to give y'all all the news about the fighters, the fights, the people, the events surrounding the National Fighting Championship. I'm Julian Virgin. That is David Oblas. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Man, we still had a couple questions, not to go too long, but I think people ask the questions on IG, so I'm all for answering their questions.
I'm with it.
Can fighters from South Carolina compete in NFC in Georgia? Absolutely. We always have fighters from out of state on our shows. Best way is to hit up Jesse Wable on Facebook or go to nfcfighting.com. You'll see at the bottom it says apply to fight for NFC. Fill out that form. It goes straight in our spreadsheet. We usually make it so that if you're from out of state, you cannot fight for our title belts. We try to keep the title belts Georgia versus Georgia, just because, we might never see you again if you're from out of state. And then you can't defend the title. We've just seen that happen too many times. So title belts, we try to do Georgia versus Georgia. But yeah, absolutely. We take fighters from out of state every single show.
So with that said, when I do a introduction for a championship belt, it's not the NFC Championship of the world; it's the NFC Championship of Georgia.
Absolutely. And seeing other regional shows, and I don't call ourselves a big show or a small show. We're a regional show. That's the way fight promoters label themselves. Our region is Georgia, even though right now we're growing larger than Georgia. We're doing Alabama. Dothan, Alabama, January 7th. We just did Tennessee with areas in conflict. 99.9% of our fights are in Georgia. So we try to keep the belts in Georgia. We are not the NFC Championship of the world. We are not the national championship or anything like that. We're Georgia fighters title belts. And I think that's what we want to support. We want to support the fighters in Georgia, the trainers, the gyms in Georgia. I want to walk into every gym and see my NFC title belts on the walls. And, in South Carolina, I like you guys, but go fight for conflict for their title belts. Georgia is NFC versus NFC is Georgia versus Georgia.
That's
what are requirements for amateur and professional competition? I don't know if you're just talking about the test you got to pass. So every fighter has to take a blood test for HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C once a year. Once every 6 months. And then you got to take an eye exam once every 180 days before the fight. So outside of everything else that goes into it, passing the physical, getting on the fight card, everything else, those are the two medical requirements. If you're over 37 years old, you got to take a neurological exam once per year. And you also have to take an advanced eye exam once per year if you're over 37. But for all the other fighters, blood and eye test every 6 months in a year. I don't know.
That's a David question. That's not a Julian question.
Addison Graves, what's the best advice you've gotten from more seasoned fighters and coaches? We asked one guy on here, Nathan Rivera, and he answered that. You got any answers for that as a white belt?
I mean, honestly, Jim Shepard at SPG told me, the biggest thing about, because I've been going to the 6 a.m. kickboxing class in the morning, and he said just the biggest thing is just putting your 2 feet on the ground and just going. And I think about that when it's 5:30 in the morning, my alarm rings and I'm mad tired. It's just about getting those 2 feet on the ground to keep it moving, and that's what keeps me going to class every week.
Yeah,
that's my white belt.
I think the last question. I think 2 people asked on here. What do you get paid? What do fighters make? The other one was Javier Gilliarder that asked how much do fighters make. But since I'm Tiny Dave wanted to see a post by Tiny Sean. How much do fighters get paid? The pro fighters get paid anywhere from $250 all the way to a couple $1,000s for the main event on regional shows. I think our pay is comparative to the promoters I've been dealing with in Florida, South Carolina, and Tennessee that we've worked with. Your pro debut, we start you out at $250 a show, which means $250 a fight, and then another bonus of $250 if you win the fight. So that's kind of your first pro fight. It goes up from there to 5 and 5, 6 and 6, 7 and $750, and then to the main event from there. You also get a ticket commission. I truly believe we pay higher ticket commissions than all the promoters that we've dealt with in the Southeast. Starts anywhere from 12% to go to 30%. And we've talked about the Jesse Wable Amateur Series. That one cool thing is it gives an opportunity for these amateur fighters to have the cool videos on them, to get on the podcast, to promote themselves. They'll be later in the fight card than normal. But another main reason we did it is not only to spotlight the amateurs, but it also helps them make more money, actually. Do you hear the buzzing on your side there?
Man, the fire alarm just went off in my neighborhood, man. There's no telling when this thing is going to go off. So I know you said that is the final question, man. And I mean, with what I'm hearing right now and the possible threat of there being a fire, we might need to conclude today's podcast here on NFC Now.
So let's talk about fighters pay next time then.
Yeah, and I think this would be a great segue for us to pick up this dialogue. I'm actually meant to ask the fighters this question this week, man, but just wasn't able to get around to it. And we'll be back next week. I know there's no shows until January 7th. However, during this holiday time, during this holiday season, right, we'll call it the holiday season, we'll have fighters, trainers, maybe not judges, but referees. I hope to get Monica Ridgway or something on here. I think that'll be dope to have a Monica Ridgway on here. I like Monica when we talk to her cage side. Jimmy Neely. There's a lot of different names. I mean, so many people spoke so highly of Brantley Fur today. During this downtime, when it comes to fights per se, we'll have a lot of people that make this thing work.
Yeah.
On the other side of fights that'll come on our pod. So y'all make sure you continue to just engage with us because you do this show each and every Monday evening with or without the buzzes behind us. With or without any technical difficulties, we make shit happen here on NFC Now.
Do we have to keep you in our thoughts and prayers tonight?
Always keep me in your thoughts and prayers. I receive all blessings. I receive all blessings. Well, sometimes it just goes off. So it's really all good, man. No big deal. Final thoughts, Dave?
Hopefully you make it out of here alive. Hopefully we see you next week with that fire, and it's just a bullshit fire, and there's not one coming on, and hopefully Jenny is getting your daughter out of there.
Hey, look, it's a happy Monday, and tomorrow's going to be a happy Tuesday. I'm going to be here to say what's up. So, again, thank you all for tuning in to NFC Now. You make sure you continue to just chime in with us online. Make sure you just stay tuned in with what's going on, everything with the NFC. We appreciate, you see that? Hey, I like Ashley Sprayberry. Still committed to the pod. Let's do what it do. That's what we do. Shout out to Ashley Sprayberry and Nick Sprayberry.
I don't like the last sentence. Give this man a raise.
Come on, man. You the money man, Dave. You the money man, Dave. You know the vibes. Shout out to Ashley and Nick Sprayberry. We appreciate y'all for always holding down that door and always being so kind to all the people that come through there and just being the first people that the face of the NFC as soon as we walk in. So shout out to y'all and everybody who tuned into the NFC pod today. Make sure you tune in every Monday.
Let's end this thing so you get out alive.
Hold it down.
All right, bye.